I think this chapter has started out very good, with a lot of us getting 100%. Even though I think some people are kind of getting answers from people, that's fine. At least you're caring enough to get the 100. But I think what I'm seeing is that we are all understanding the concepts that are there, which is good. Our past two lessons have introduced M and B. M, remember, means slope. It also means rate of change. It also represents the common difference. B is the y-intercept, remember. Recall that again. M represents slope, B represents y-intercept. If you look at the name of the formula, it actually has both words included, slope-intercept. That's why they call it the slope-intercept, because it gives you M and B. Today's lesson is going to work on your ability to graph a line using the slope-intercept form of a line. So what we're going to do today is we are going to use our skill of identifying M and identifying B to graph lines and get things done the way we need to. So I'm going to make my straight edge here real fast while we get started, and from there I think this should be a very easy lesson for you. The first thing I would do, especially if you're having issues, is identify M and B. Keep in mind that M is attached to X, which means that M is 2/3, and also keep in mind that B is the number that has nothing attached, which means it's 1. Now what I need you to start doing is numbering. If you're counting by 1, put a 1 there and a 1 there, because that's going to be part of your points a couple weeks from now. And so just go ahead and start getting that habit down, because if you don't number it, then you're going to be losing half of your points for that, and I don't think you want to do that when the test comes up. But anyway, B is 1, and remember what that means is that is your y-intercept. How can you remember that B goes first? Because if you alphabetize it, B goes before M. So B is 1, we put a dot right there. M is 2/3, so from there we go up 2 over 3, and I don't know if we talked about it, but how many points do I really need to see this line? In all actuality, just 2. So once I get that second dot, I don't need to do any more work. I simply draw a line all the way through that dot, going all the way across the region, and that is all. So taking what we learned Monday, taking what we learned Tuesday, it makes it very simple, because you got a chance to really get into what M was and what B was, and now that you know them both, graphing is this easy. That's all there is to it. Alright, look at the second question here. Y is equal to negative 1/4 x minus 2. Again, the first thing you want to do is identify M and B, whether you do it in your head or you do it on paper. M is again attached to x, so negative 1/4. B is the number that's all by itself. Notice that that's negative 2. Again, don't forget to number your axes, and start numbering your axes today. It won't hurt you this week, but again, starting about next week it will. Again, B goes first because it's B. Negative 2 goes down 2. From there, negative 1/4 means go down 1, and 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. And again, what we learned with our common sense is that you only need 2 dots to make a line, and there's our 2 dots. Draw your line, and that is the graph of the line. Again, it is a very simple process, especially with the background that you all have gotten over the last few days. I think you should be successful at it today. Now be careful, because on the Math XL, you've got to make sure you click the right areas, otherwise they're going to mark you wrong. So if you get to the Math XL and you're having an issue getting those graphs to be right, even though you know you're doing it right, just bring it back to me and let me check it out as you do it, so we can make sure you're doing everything appropriately. Here again, identify M and B. M is 3, B is negative 4. Number your axes so you get all your points. Negative 4 for B. Remember, B goes first, means go 1, 2, 3, 4 down. M equals 3 means up 3, 1, 2, 3, and don't forget 3 is the same as 3 over 1, so 1, 2, 3 over 1. And again, all we need is 2 dots. Now what we do is we take those 2 dots and use a straight edge or a ruler to go ahead and connect those 2 dots, and that is it. It is much easier than what you thought it was before. When we did this last week, I had you actually find points by plugging in 0, plugging in 1, and I mean, that's nice, but for the most part what you're seeing is you really don't even need to do all that. You just use M and B, and graphing these things is easy. On D, M is in this case negative 2 because that's what's attached to X. B is 5 because that's what's by itself. Again, don't forget to number your axes as 1 by 1. If B is 5 and it's telling you to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, and then m is negative 2, which means again that's the same as negative 2 over 1, which what we learned is down 2 over 1. There's my second dot, and here is my line. Now you want to make sure your line goes all the way across. That goes into something that we're going to be doing later on in this unit with our lines, but you've got to make sure your line goes all the way across. What you don't want to do is have a dot here and a dot here, and you draw a line like this, and there's like a whole grid out here, down here. So make sure it goes through it and all the way across where this grid is whenever you do it, to pick up the best habits that you can possibly pick up. Otherwise, things are going to start going crazy, and like I said, there's no telling what can happen if you're not doing things the right way. In this case, m is 1/3. b, remember, if there's an invisible number, it means that it has a plus 0 on it, which means that b is 0, which again, putting this 1 here and 1 there, b being 0, remember, stay on the origin, and then 1/3 means go up 1, right 3, which from there, again, go ahead and put those two things there and draw your line all the way across the region, and we are good to go. Alright. And then the last type of trick question that you're going to see is one where there is no number, but keep in mind that if it says y equals negative x or even y equals x, that there is a number there, and that is y equals negative 1x or y equals 1x. Alright, so again, whenever you see no number in front of it, now it's different when there's no number in general for the b, but whenever there's something there, that means that there is 1x there. And so in this case, m in this problem is negative 1. b, which is the one that's here, is nothing at all, so that's where 0 is at. Again, mark your axes. b being 0 means stay at the origin. m of negative 1 is the same as negative 1 over 1, which means down 1 over 1. I'll go ahead and put my 1 up there so we can see it. And then again, once you get those 2 points, you have your line. It is that simple. So you should feel kind of proud of yourselves, especially if you're understanding it, because there are a lot of people who don't know how to graph. They think that it's extremely complex, but as you're seeing, it's really not. It's just something where you've got to be able to identify 2 certain pieces and know how to use those 2 certain pieces. So again, use today to make sure that you get as much as you can in terms of understanding and knowing how to graph. And tomorrow's going to be a challenging day, I'll tell you that much, but other than that, like I said, this week shouldn't be that bad of a week. It was find m, find b, what is m, what is b, using m and b, and then tomorrow's tough lesson. Well, not really a tough lesson, but it'll be a little tougher than what you've seen, and that'll take us to the quiz on Friday. So again, get your job done today, and as I said, if you're having questions or anything, please bring them back. No matter if we're having issues or not in the classroom behavior wise, I get paid to teach you, and I love my job, so I want you to learn. So please make sure you're communicating with me if you're not understanding what's going on. So go to Math Excel and start working on that assignment. Good luck.